Okay.
Okay, welcome to Culture Your Creative. This is a platform essentially to bring together amazing guests that will give you information about just the journeys that they've taken, what they've gone through. You can learn so many incredible things. I'm the host, Luke Ledhill. I run a brand development agency that helps brands and companies with their story and their narrative to the end person or the end citizen customer. I also host a 21st Club think tank, which brings together people that do good and give back through social and environmental and spiritual initiatives. So today I'm super excited to have an incredible guest that I'm very fortunate to speak with. We're going to start this off with an intro video from Papa Joe. So we'll start with that preview.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's Papa Joe.
Papa Joe Aviance.
This is a new personal hero of mine. He has lost over 250 pounds.
I've been homeless.
You started this all off at 450 pounds.
Yes. Broke, unemployed.
You just started walking.
Saw that I was able to eat healthy food from a dollar store.
I love that you proved you don't have to be wealthy to eat healthy.
What I love is you're inspiring others.
I want to motivate people. I talk the talk and walk the walk. All I want to do is walk. All I want to do is walk. All right, wake up happy.
I love this man.
Okay.
Wow, Papa Joe, first and foremost, I want to thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Just watching that short video intro, it just was mind-blowing to see what you've gone through. It's just incredible and inspiring. First and foremost, can you just introduce yourself, say who you are and what you currently do?
My name is Papa Joe Aviance. I'm an author, speaker, and producer.
Fantastic, fantastic. Do you want to talk a bit about, I've got so many questions and you and I spoke before this about some amazing things. And do you want to start and go back a little bit, maybe reflect on some things that were shown in that video?
Sure. My journey started back in 2009 when I had the opportunity to do a record. DJ basically walked into a video store and said, I like your voice for house music. And I recorded my first single. I got signed to a label in 10 minutes and it was called Last Night a DJ Saved My Life. And it went to Billboard. And pretty much from there, that's where the rest of the video, kind of the ripple effect of everything that's happened. I saw myself in the music video, and that pretty much was my wake-up call to go on my health and wellness journey that I've been living now for the last umpteen years.
Wow.
Yeah.
So it was just because I was going to actually ask you, Papa Joe, what was that moment that really took you down that journey?
To be honest with you, it's always been music. Music has always been a passion in my life. I grew up with music. I played violin at a young age. Learning to read, write, and play music was just kind of like always a passion of mine. And then obviously life got in the way, high school, teenage years, adolescent years, and then young adult, and music kind of left my spirit, so to speak, left me. And I kind of dabbled with it, through the club scene and dealing with house music and stuff like that back in my early years. And then it finally came back into my life again. And that was really my wake-up call. But having the opportunity to be on Billboard, my very first single, I didn't like the way that I looked. I was depressed, uncomfortable, and unhealthy. And so part of my wake-up call was that I had an opportunity to do music. Music was back in my life again. It was something that I was passionate about, but then I looked like this and I was unhealthy. So I said, okay, if you want to continue to be happy and do music again, you got to be healthy. So that's where that was my wake-up call, and that's where the journey began.
Do you know what, as you were saying that, Papa Joe, it was making me think, there's millions and millions of people around the world, not just in the US, that are in that position that you were, depressed, unhealthy, unhappy, but they don't know a way out. They don't know possibly a different path than what they're on. So I'd like to ask you a bit more about that, because you and I spoke a little bit before about this, and what I've really come to realize is in the United States, the option of that other journey, that other path to a healthier life is held back more from people of a different color of their skin. It's
true. Very much so.
The information and my learning from that is just really opened my mind, and because I can't understand why that would be. And so just to go back to what I originally started saying is to hear that you essentially kind of woke up from the journey you were on, the path you were on, the unhealthy, the depression, and like I guess my question is how can we all be advocates? I know you're a very big advocate for what you do, but how can we all be advocates to just help spread that message that there is, and there are other options, there are other choices?
Yeah. To be honest with you, you have to figure out what makes you happy and go after that, really. Again, music was the roots of my passion and my spark that got me going. If it hadn't been for that, I'd be stuck in the same cycle. So one of the things that I suggest to people is to find out what makes you happy. If you're not doing it, then there's something wrong. Even if you're able to do it part-time, just dabble in it. If you like playing guitar, if music is your passion, play guitar, play an instrument, learn something that involves music that you can continue that spark until you're able to do it if you're able to do it creatively or for a lifelong journey, and if you're able to do that. I unfortunately had the opportunity to do that, but felt that music was the launching pad and the start, because then my health and wellness journey took over. So once I found that happiness and that spark, then the health and wellness just kind of came secondary.
Yeah. I think that's really important what you said, Papa Joe, because I often think, and especially with everything that's gone on in the last 3 or 4 months, it's enabled me to look inside and think more about, well, what's really more important in my life? What brings me joy? Yeah. What brings me more joy? And I mentioned to you before we started, I've been DJing for years in the UK, and you and I connect on house music and the love of house music. And I'd kind of fallen out of love with that a little bit, just learning about new music and stuff, and being able to reflect inwards and figure out, right, well, what actually, let's cut all the shit out. What really brings me joy? Right. And then to your point, if someone's able to figure out, well, maybe it's a pet or animals, maybe that brings them joy.
Exactly.
They can.
Maybe it's a career. Maybe it's a career choice, or you know what I'm saying. I get what you're saying. Yeah.
But what I find really important, and I'd like to hear more from you about, is food can be a real big part of your mindset and how your mindset works. And if you're 250 pounds overweight, you're in this mindset of this loop, this ongoing loop of just taking in the wrong foods, and the more food you take in that is unhealthy for you is feeding you the wrong thoughts and the wrong ideas, and that whereabouts brings the depression, right?
Yeah.
Talk to me a bit more about your journey with food from that point.
I consider myself a food addict with the food addiction. I was stuck in that cycle that you speak of, making bad choices, just making the wrong, and then obviously it affected my relationships and my career, and just making the wrong decisions because I was making bad decisions with my health. I always say that I was slowly killing myself with food. And once I got out of that mindset, figuring out that I was just killing myself slowly with food. I mean, part of my mindset, actually part of my eating habit, I used to eat 7,000 calories a day. Wow. And this was in addition to breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
Wow.
So, and I used to drink a 2-liter bottle of Mountain Dew every single day for 5 years. So I was stuck in that pattern. And then so trying to figure out, okay, without having no nutritional background whatsoever, I had to figure out, okay, how are you going to survive and how are you going to be healthy? So literally what I did was I did my research and I grabbed a food pyramid table from the internet. And I said, okay, everything on here is good, everything else is bad. And so I kind of stuck to that, but I had to break that cycle and to learn, how to eat healthy, because I didn't have the resources nor the education on how to be healthy. And so I said, okay, food pyramid. Stuck back to science, so to speak, and just figuring out, okay, this is what's going to help me. And obviously, I'm kind of like self-motivated myself to make healthier choices. And then once I started making better choices, it just became natural. Like I haven't touched soda in 7 years.
Wow.
Haven't touched it. I drink water and iced tea or juices, but I haven't touched soda, fruit corn syrup, and stuff, things that just aren't good for you. Like again, that 2-liter bottle of Mountain Dew, it's 50 tablespoons of sugar in a 2-liter bottle. 50 wow. Tablespoons of sugar in a 2-liter bottle of Mountain Dew that I was drinking every single day for 5 years. Now, I escaped diabetes, I escaped high cholesterol, I escaped high blood pressure. Thank you. And I was luckily and fortunate enough that I was able to break that cycle. And that's one of the things that people need to realize, is that they have to learn how to figure out the pattern that they're in, whether it's writing it down. I know it's kind of tedious and you're like, what am I going to do this? But you got to figure out, people are slowly killing themselves. It's been quoted that in 2030, over half of America will be obese.
Wow.
In 2030, half of America will be obese. So I don't want to be part of that statistic. I want to be part of the solution. So if I can help people figure out how to break that cycle, but really you got to learn how to break the cycle and realize you're in a cycle. If you keep gaining weight, if those jeans don't fit right, then you're in a cycle. You're stuck in something that's not good for you. Whether you're in a bad relationship, toxic career, you're stuck in something that's not good for you, that's not healthy for you. And you have to just learn and realize that I'm in this cycle, self-awareness, and realizing that you're in this cycle, and that, okay, how am I going to break through? Whether it's a career, maybe you need a new career. Whether it's a new relationship, maybe you need to dump that person and be single for a while, or whether it's the eating habits, maybe, figuring out those eating habits. One of the tricks that I learned was the 3 W's, being a food addict, the 3 W's, what, when, why. So like a crazy person, I would sit in the grocery store and say, I want a bag of Doritos. And also, in addition to that, my emotions are tied to food. So if I'm upset, being a food addict, I'm an emotional eater. So if I get pissed off or I'm upset or stressed out in the world, I run to food. That's my comfort food. It's my joy. It satisfies the need for a moment. But getting back to those, breaking the cycle, I figured out a solution for myself, and the eating habits that I was making and the choices that I was making is the 3 W's, what, when, why. So you're in a grocery store, grab a bag of Doritos. What is it? Bag of Doritos. When do you want it? I want it now. And then you have to ask yourself, why? Once you figure out that why, I'm mad because that lady pissed me off and cut me off in traffic, or I didn't get the call that I was hoping for, I didn't get the job that I wanted, or something. And then realizing, okay, it's not that important, and neither are these. And then I'd put it back and I'd make better choices and go get something healthier. And then once I started doing that and figuring out the root of the problem, I haven't gained the weight back. Let me put it that way.
Yeah.
I refuse. But
Papa Joe, sorry, please carry on.
No, one of the things, as far as that, you did bring up a really good point about the color of your skin and the restrictions of food. One of the things and one of the myths that I tried to prove was that, number one, you don't need a gym to exercise in. And number two, that eating healthy, you have to be wealthy to eat healthy. And that's one of the things I proved by shopping at a dollar store for my fruits and vegetables and my groceries. I was able to spend $40 a week on food, which basically breaks down to about $21 a meal. $21 for the day in my meals, which breaks down to about $7 a day. But I was able to survive on $40 a week just in food. And so, but I do see sort of a bias within the urban communities as far as what's available that's out there. And there needs to be better options and, more education on health and wellness over in the urban communities because, especially with COVID right now, we're perceptible to that being disproportionately, African Americans are perceptible to high blood pressure, high cholesterol, and diabetes and all that stuff like that. And if you add COVID on top of it, forget it. It's a done deal. So I do think that, it does need to be more the education involved in the urban communities as far as like just having more farmers markets available and just more resources and letting people know you can eat healthy, and that's one of the things that I did by shopping at the 99-cent store to prove that you don't have to be wealthy to eat healthy, and showing people within the urban community, you can do this. The options are there for you. You just gotta be open to it and find it. That's what happened to me. A girl said to me, Papa Joe, you better go shop at the 99-cent store. They got fruits and vegetables. I'm like, girl, I'm not shopping at no 99-cent store. She was like, Papa Joe, shop at the 99-cent store. And I walked up in there and literally it was like, oh, I mean, I was just like, yes, I can do this. I can do this. I can survive. And that's what it was, being unemployed and no job and all that stuff at the time. I was like, okay, how are we going to survive and eat healthy? And that's what I did to figure that out.
I mean, I love everything that you've explained, Papa Joe. I truly do. I think you are an inspiration and an advocate for what can be done for people, no matter what your skin color is. I just want to ask, because this is in my mind as you were talking. It feels to me that the system is in place to not provide the information and the education. And those are the two things that you mentioned before. The information is out there. We know it's out there. You mentioned you found the food pyramid on the internet. So we know that's there. But it feels to me that the system is in place to hinder that process. And it feels like I'm not talking skin color right now, because in middle America, it doesn't matter what your color, there's still a lot of people that are overweight and obese. But it feels like it's intensified and more focused dependent on your skin color in urban areas, as you mentioned.
It is. To be honest with you, I mean, I really don't know why, but I mean, I hate to say it, you can find cheaper food in the hood than you can on Melrose, just keeping it real. But unfortunately, you're just finding the wrong things in those in the urban communities. It's the wrong choices. And whether the building, what is it? The community, as far as, when they sell those leases and those property, we want to put up a Church's Chicken. No, let's put up a Whole Foods. Let's put, and maybe those other communities and those other companies are not going to those environments because they don't feel they're going to get any profit from it. There's no Whole Foods in the hood, because they don't feel they're going to get profit. They don't feel like people are going to shop there because their prices are too outrageous. Now, if you put a 99-cent store in there, yeah. But again, 99-cent stores are only going to pop up, based on their profits and exposure. And I just think that, I think if other companies were to go in and expand some of the knowledge and the resources that they have available, make it available. People will spend the money to buy it. Trust me. People will buy it. I mean, people shop at Whole Foods. People come from all over to shop at Whole Foods, and say, that's my store, Trader Joe's or whatever. People will shop where they want to shop. But if you have those resources in the environment, into the community, then it makes it available and accessible for everybody. And I just, companies just don't need to be afraid and just need to buy some property over in the hood. And just keep it real. I'm just like, buy some property in the hood and you'll see, it'll expand. Because if it hadn't been for the 99-cent store, I don't even know how there would have been no way. And if it wasn't for the 99-cent store, I wouldn't have had the opportunity to be the brand ambassador, to be an advocate for them And just to be able to tell people, hey, shop at the 99-cent store, y'all, you save $1 or $2.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know? But I mean, again, but people gotta want it, and that's where I'm at. You know what I'm saying? People talk a good game, like I want to lose weight or this, that, and the other, but like, no, you don't.
Right.
But I mean, you really gotta want to do it, and then that the resources are out there, then stick to it and figure it out, and then do it. But you gotta want to do it. I can't make you do it. You gotta want to do it for yourself, and do it for your health, and do it for your kids, do it for your family, you know, and just do it for yourself. You know, and just be happy and healthy. You know, there's so many people, and I just want to take this, just something that just came to mind. So many people go on these weight loss shows and they wind up gaining the weight back because they don't have the proper tools, nor the mindset or the discipline to keep it off. And that's one of the things that I said, that won't be me. And I haven't gained a pound back, period. None. I refuse. And right now, you know, I've turned a bad habit into a good one. And so that's what I'm preaching. So I know it can be done. It can be done. And it can be done. And it's proven. You just got to want it.
Yeah. No, I completely agree. I completely agree. Papa Joe, you mentioned before, you mentioned before that you were a food addict.
Yeah.
So I've read about the 12-step program. I have a lot of friends. I have a lot of friends that are in recovery. So I understand that process, right?
Yeah.
And I think it's, I might be wrong in saying this, whether it's number 4, but where you hold yourself accountable. And I think everything that you've said that leads you up to what you just said about not gaining the weight back. That's because you're holding yourself accountable. You have accountability based around that program, loosely or not. What's something I picked up on you saying is how strong your mindset is with regards to all of this. Do you want to elaborate a bit more about how important mindset is?
Yeah, it's very important. Look, I realized like food is my crutch. It's my kryptonite. It is my alcohol. It is my drug. It is it's you know, it's something that I will have to deal with for the rest of my life of weight issues, you know, because I can gain, obviously I can gain it easily, but I also know I can take it off. So having that mindset just to be in control of that, regardless of the good things that are going on in your life and the bad things that are going on in life, you have to stay positive and you have to stay focused. I mean, obviously with COVID right now, there's, you know, people are stressed and we're, you know, stay at home and quarantine. You know, for me, I was like, yay, you know, because it was able to really focus in, and I was able to really pinpoint my eating habits even stronger and better, and realize, oh, you're doing, and I just kind of like psychoanalyze myself through the quarantine process even more so, and just realizing you can keep this off. It's not going to be a crutch like you think it is, but having a strong mindset is very important to achieving any goal that you're going after, you know? And I really do believe that we all have the potential to do it. We just got to want it. You got to want it, and you got to really want it. And like, I have been heavy all of my life. All I know is what it was. All I know, let me show you this real quick. I pulled these out because I wanted to show you. These are my pants. I don't know if I can get them in the screen, but these are my pants.
That's crazy.
I'll just glide them along. This is a size 58. Okay?
58. Wow.
58. And I went down to a 36. I went down to this. So I literally went from this to this.
Yeah. That's incredible.
Yeah. And so, you know, and I never want to go back. And so, so when people are on their health journey or on a career path or relationships or whatever, you know, you got to just have a strong mindset to remain positive, because it's easy to slip back into old habits. And it's just like you said, you have friends that have gone through the 12-step program. I kind of put myself through my own 12-step program for myself, you know, and being accountable for my actions, you know, and I said, okay, this part of it, I got down pat. I'm like, there's no going back. Even if I'm stressed out, whatever, I refuse to gain the weight back. I may gain 1 pound, but I'm not going to gain 200. I know when you fall off the wagon, you just get back on it. That's it. And don't beat yourself up about it, because that was one of the things that, I beat myself up. I'm not losing any more weight. No. Quit all that. Yeah. And just realize what's important, and realizing that you're trying to achieve something, whether it's a goal, career, or a life path. You're trying to achieve something, and don't stop until you get there. And really, I mean, I've made mistakes along the way, but I've also learned a lot and grown a lot. And speaking to other people, yes, I had a controlled diet and a mindset to really go after and really determine. But then I allowed myself to meet with other like-minded people, and I learned other things about other foods that I didn't know about. And I got to expand to other things. I started eating a little bit more vegetarian now, and so now I'm trying to learn through that. And I tried juicing, so I got to experience other different things of being healthy. And it's just opened the doors, and whatever works for you, take that grain of knowledge and apply it to whatever you're using, and then push forward.
Yeah. I love that. I really love that. I think that's just incredible knowledge to share. Papa Joe, talk to me a bit more about, I was reading up, you have so many businesses that you run, that you have Papa Joe Networks. Do you want to talk about that a little bit more?
Well, based on the success from the Last Night a DJ Saved My Life, music came back into my life. And then what happened was, from there, the brand ambassador opportunities came with American Heart Association and the 99-cent store. And then from there, became an author. I wrote my first book called Balancing the Scales. Right.
Wow. I love that.
Right there you go, right there. So I wrote my first book. I became a best-selling author within 4 hours on Amazon. Yeah. So, I mean, it's just been kind of a ripple effect with the career is concerned. And it's been life-changing. I said to myself when I wrote the book that if I'm able to help just one person kind of avoid the pitfalls that I've gone through in my life, then I've done my job. And that's kind of where I'm at right now. I want to be able to help. But I said, if I can help one, then I can help many others. So that's the goal, is to help as many people as I can, just to get on that life path and stick to it, because we fall off so many times because of other things that, whether you hear about so many people going back to college after so many years of, living their life and this, that, and the other, and getting back on their career path. And they're so much happier for it, and I just feel like with our health, there's two things that I write in this book. And I say two things that you have to focus on in your life. One is your goals and dreams, and one is your health and wealth, and the other is your health and wellness. And both of those require motivation. So I give you 2 parts and 2 tools.
So in response to that then, Papa Joe, where do you derive your motivation from? What really motivates you?
It's built in my DNA, to be honest with you, because of my family and my family's history. My grandparents were a huge influence on me growing up as a kid, and I just kind of watched my grandfather. My grandfather in the 1970s had his own remodeling business. So he built up the community of Saginaw, Michigan, within like a 15-mile radius around the community. Wow. And he became the first Black man to appear on the Saginaw newspaper front page.
Wow.
And he also was an activist as far as a city councilman on the board for my mom and dad to fight for civil rights for my mom and my uncle at the time, for his kids. And so he just did a lot. So it's been ingrained in me, and I kind of like soaked all that up as a kid, and it's just been a go-getter from day one. So that's where I really get my motivation and my empowerment is from him, and just realizing what he was capable of doing during the civil rights movement when Black people didn't have rights. And here he was, a Black man building up the community within like a 15-mile radius around Saginaw, Michigan, and just building up houses left, right, and center for the community. And so that's something where I get my motivation, where I want to just be able to give back and pay it forward and help others.
I love that. Honestly, yeah. Papa Joe, that is truly inspiring. that you can now go on and in your grandfather's spirit and take that and help others. I think that's really inspiring.
And on top of that, I'm named after him, which is why the company is named JoJo.
Oh, I love that.
So I have Papa Joe Networks, which is the production company that I built for myself, and then I have the clothing company, which is JoJo, which is named after him as well. So
I see the hat that you have on, and I'm really interested to hear more about. So this is a new venture that you've started, which is a Black superhero series.
Yes.
Right?
Yes, it's controversial, unapologetic, thought-provoking, and hilarious.
I mean, all of that we need right now.
Yes,
I truly believe that. So please tell me more. I can't wait to hear more about this.
So please, so what happened was, it's a two-parter. It started off being part of a motivational character that I created for myself, trying to find the inner superhero within myself. So I called myself the Electric Negro during my transformation. So I would wear the shirt. And then somebody actually came up to me and said, that would make a great comic book. And I was like, oh, really? My entrepreneurial spirit went, huh, really? Okay. So I started cultivating that, and that took too long to aspire and achieve. So I'm like, all right, next. So then I said, let's go the television route, the animation route. And I found a guy in Brazil, my writing partner, who moved to the UK. He and I just been kind of like, he believed in it from day one, and then literally just other people have just been kind of gravitating towards it. I've got AJ McClain from the Backstreet Boys involved. Denzel Whitaker from Black Panther is on board. I've got a few other celebrities that are coming on board, but I'm really it's just kind of like, it's been cultivated for the last 5 years as an idea, but now it's coming to the table and coming to fruition. So I'm really excited to bring something new and exciting, something that's kind of telling an animated series through the eyes of an African American. Yeah, and we're going to be focusing on politics, racism, youth culture, and just have a ball with it all. I'm actually really excited about it to get ready to sit at the table and start pitching it. But everybody can check it out. There's on a website, electricnegro.com. There's a concept video there as well as free merchandise. You can check that out. And I'm really excited about the project. It's been, like I said, it's been cultivating for 5 years, but now it's literally coming to fruition and be able to sit at the table and to hopefully be able to bring it to the entertainment world. And I'm just really excited about it because, again, it was just an idea that I just, it just started, and I was just like, I did it for myself because I did it because of the transformation of finding that inner superhero within myself. Was like, and that's how I felt. And I mean, like, I have, where's my shirt at? Actually, here's the shirt, actually. Sorry for the wrinkle shirt, but this is the shirt I wore every morning when I did my walks.
Oh, wow.
So that's the shirt I wore every morning that I did my walks. And on the back, it says feeling electric.
I love it.
So I wore this every morning on my walks as part of my inspiration. And the reason why it's a silhouette was because I envisioned myself every morning of how I wanted to look.
So Papa Joe, let me just get some more context on that. You said you wore that every morning when you were on your walk. So yeah. I actually read about, do you want to explain a bit more about the walking, all of the walking you did?
Well, the walking I did, I started walking the very first time I walked around the block, just drenched in sweat and couldn't do it. And then I said, okay, I got to do it again, got to do it tomorrow morning. And then what happened was when the label contacted me and said that the song was going to Billboard, what I would do is I would walk to a further newsstand and pick up the magazine as a reward for myself. And so what I would do is it debuted at number 24 and it went for 10 weeks and then it reached to number 6. So by the time it debuted at 24 and then it went up to number 6 and stayed on the charts, I would walk to each further newsstand. And by the time I ended, within the 18 months, I was walking up to 5 miles a day.
Wow.
Yeah. I mean, within the 18 months, I started walking up to the 18 months within probably the first 6 months. But for the remainder 6 months, I wound up walking up to 5 miles a day, rain or shine. And each day the label would call me every Friday. Papa Joe, the song went up in the billboard. I'm like, oh, new newsstand. And I would walk a little further to the next newsstand and grab the magazine, grab like 5 copies, stuff them in my bag, and bring them on home as a reward for myself just to see my name in print. And that was my motivation to keep going every day, you know? Every Friday it was just like, yay! And then it just became a habit of seeing people out on the street that I was motivating or supporting, or that were supporting me at the same time, you know, because they saw my transformation. People in cars saw me pass by every morning because I did it religiously at 7 o'clock every morning. Every morning, 7 a.m., beep, out the door. So I kept seeing the same people, and just the walking for me was grabbing the dance music and just breaking a sweat. And that's what I tell people. Don't casual walk, break a sweat. You know, you ain't got to be out there like, you know, like this or anything, but just put some fast music on, whatever your favorite dance music or whatever your favorite music is, to a fast pace on a walkable beat, and go for a walk. 20 to 30 minutes a day. That's all you need. All right, not even that, just 2 times a week.
Yeah. What really blows my mind, Papa Joe, is to connect back to some things you said previously. Essentially, you brought all of your health to you through eating right with a 99-cent store and walking 20, 30 minutes every day. Both of those things are achievable and accessible to anybody. You don't have to have a high-paid gym membership. You know, you don't have to be.
I say the sidewalk is my treadmill.
Yeah.
That's it. Sidewalk is my treadmill. That's it. And it's free.
Yeah.
Free. I'm sorry. I'm like, why go pay $19.99 a month and stand on a machine when I can do the same thing and do it for free? I'm like, okay.
Do you think, let me ask you this, because I was thinking about this last night. It feels to me that people would rather deal with the pain in their life than deal with the uncomfortable feelings of facing the pains and taking the different path, right?
Because we don't want to admit that we failed at something. We don't want to admit we failed at something. And it's easier to deal with the pain of that versus dealing with trying to overcome it. Because overcoming it seems like a bigger hurdle than the pain of whatever hits you. And I think that's what makes people really uncomfortable. Quick analogy. You've been sledding before, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. What's the best part of sledding?
Going down.
Okay. What's the hardest part?
Coming back up.
There you go.
Yeah.
Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah.
You see, that's really, to be honest with you, that's, you know, and that's the same thing. That's the same way. You know, I realized, every time I went into a big and tall store and had to get a bigger size, I knew what I was doing to myself. I knew it. But I also knew I was too scared to make myself accountable to do what I did. But then once again, once I realized how to make myself more accountable and achieve the goal that I've done, I'm like, that's all I had to do. And it was easier. And it's the same thing. Going down the hill is fun, but you got to make going uphill just as fun, equally as fun, you know? And whether it's, you know, like, again, I started walking, but I got bored with walking after the whole billboard thing. And then I started bike riding, and then I started hiking. I'm now bike riding like 50 miles.
Wow.
I never did that before. You know, and one of the things, even when I wrote with the book, it's not about the weight that you lose, it's about the life that you gain. You know, I was so miserable and not being able to live the life. I mean, I went like 2 months ago, not 2 months ago, I'm sorry, like 6 months ago, I went skydiving for the first time because I could fit underneath the weight restrictions now. Whereas before, you know, I love roller coasters, but then couldn't fit in the seat. And I was giving up that opportunity of giving up something that I was so passionate. I love roller coasters, but I was too big to fit in the seat. So yeah, again, failure. And people they're more comfortable in the failure than realizing what they can. And then once you realize it, that you can overcome it and achieve it, what do? Oh my God, I did it, you know? You know what I mean? You get happy about it and you get excited and you're like, yeah, I did it. Keep that going. You just got to keep it going. You just got to keep that energy and that momentum going. And when you feel like you're getting down, do something that's going to excite you again, whether it's go for a walk, finding that creativity, writing a book, or writing a poem, just diving into that creativity so you can make yourself someone happy again. And to be able to get outside and go for a walk.
Yeah.
And I say, get to step in and walk it out. I mean, you deal with so much stress and everything else. Walking is just another way. Exercising is just another way to, just relieve some stress and anxiety. And that's one of the things that, I've been preaching for a long time. It's not about the failure. It's about overcoming it. You can overcome it. Don't be comfortable. I was comfortable in that failure. I was ready to live my life as a heavyset man for the rest of my life. I was ready. But somebody said to me in another interview that I did, said, you weren't dedicated to being fat. I said, you know what? You're right. You are absolutely right. And that's what it was. I wasn't willing to accept the failure, even though I had been through tons of diets, Slim Fast, Nutrisystem, popcorn diet, Atkins, Southwest diet, Mediterranean diet. I've tried them all, and realizing, okay, if I just keep it simple, there's a chapter in the book, I say, keep it simple, stupid. And that's what it was. I kept it simple. Food pyramid, everything on here good, everything else bad. And just kept it simple and just broke it down to basics. And once I was able to figure out the basics and the root of the problem, I was able to overcome it. And again, we just have to figure out, not being comfortable in that pain and just really focusing on how we can do to break out of it. And you can, there are ways to do it. You just got to figure it out, and you will. People will. Yeah. People will. We all will. You know what I mean? Because we've overcome so much. We overcome. People don't realize, you overcome stress in your life or job or this, that, and the other. Those are things that can, there's other added effects to that as well. And they just build on top of the other. Obviously, my weight was an issue. It affected my career. It affected my relationships, because I was unhappy with myself, with the partner that I was with the job that I was at, and then once I got to the core, I'm like, oh, I'm miserable because I'm failing, but yet I was ready to accept that failure and say, okay, let's just deal with this and be happy with it and figure it out, and I'll just keep going to the big and tall store and buy another size. But no, you can overcome it and you can achieve it. You just gotta put the mindset and keep your mindset strong and go for it.
Yeah, I really think and believe that this is so important that there are people like yourself, Papa Joe, that can have that conversation on a level with people, can spread that positivity and be the light that people can see that a change is an easier option, an easier choice, and can be done.
It is.
I really want to ask you this, and I hope you don't mind me asking this. I want to go back to the superhero series.
Yes.
Do you think that your grandfather is an inspiration for that series and for everything behind it as well?
To be honest with you, it's a lot of the life lessons that I've gone through with him, as well as just being a Black kid in America. That's pretty much what this story is about. It's being a Black kid in America and getting it from both sides, getting it from the African American side and what the culture brings to the table, and then how he's perceived to the outside world. And the comedy of that as well, because we got to laugh at some of the stuff that we put ourselves through. It's humorous, and I want to bring that to the forefront as well, and just spread some love and light and some joy and some laughter with that. Yeah, but I really do believe that he's an inspiration to me on that. But I would say more on the entrepreneurial side, he's more of that, and just him being the activist that he was. Yeah, I'll agree with you on that. Yeah. He has been an inspiration, but mostly it's going to be some of the stuff that I've kind of had to deal with as a kid, and then as well as other voices as well are going to be included as well as in that as well. So it's definitely very inclusive. I've got a full, diverse cast of characters, and Grandpa's there. His spirit is there, so I'm happy about that as well. Yeah.
Good. Yeah. Good. So before we wrap this up, Papa Joe, you've given me and everybody listening and watching so many incredible, inspiring things that they can do and take into their life. I'd like to ask you this, is there one thing you can say to anybody listening that they could implement or do in their life that can just open up new doors and lead them in a better direction?
First things first, ask yourself, are you happy? And then you got to ask yourself, if you're not happy, what are you not happy in? And figure that out. And that's one of the things you got to do right now. Whether it's, I'm not happy with my weight, I'm not happy with my career, I'm not happy with my relationship. Okay, figure that part out. Acknowledge that. You got to acknowledge it. And once you acknowledge it or realize you're in a toxic relationship, you're in making bad choices, you're in, whether with your weight, health, or career or relationship, you have to make the acknowledgement that you're stuck in this situation. You're in this situation, but you also know that you can pull yourself out. And that's the strength of it. And one of the things I do want to share one more story with you real quick. And this is something that's, as someone that moved to LA and had a very tough time when I first moved to LA, I had a really rough experience. I was homeless on day 2. I shared that in the book as well. And something happened to me recently, a couple weeks ago, that I was racially profiled when I first moved here. And I had a 9mm gun shoved down my throat. And I was racially profiled, and basically the cop had the wrong room. They burst into my hotel room, stuck a 9mm down my throat, and asked me if I was someone's name. I said no. And then basically they said, wrong room, he's over here. And they basically pushed the door back, said, have a good night. And that was literally my first, that happened on day 2 in LA. So I was homeless on day 2, living in a motel, and that experience happened to me. But recently, I had an experience that's very spiritual and just kind of uplifting. Number 1, being a human being, and number 2, being an LA driver, black in America, so to speak. There was a parade of officers that was driving on the PCH, and I said hello to everyone. I have a Jeep, and I have it all pimped out with the Electric Negro emblems and everything, and logos and stuff. So I would say hello to every cop that passed by. There was a group of motorcycle cops, Chrome Victoria cops, and then the Jeep cop or the truck cops. So they were all in a line. I'm passing by going, hi, everybody. Hi. Thank you for your service. Thank you. Each one is saying hello to me. Finally get to the main guy, and his window was up. All he did was look at me and go, up. And I cross over because now PCH splits into 3 lanes. I cross over in the far right lane. They're in the middle lane. And the passenger in the first car, the partner goes, file in. And I said, okay. So I file in, like behind the 3rd cop car. And the cop goes on the loudspeaker, Electric Negro, we appreciate your kindness. Thank you. All right, boys, hit it. Woo! All 20 police officer cars, motorcycles and everything, give me a 5-mile procession along the PCH as like the president of the United States. So, as I stated before, things can change. I literally, 15 years ago, I had a 9mm racially profiled to being now escorted by LAPD down the PCH, sirens blowing for about 5 miles down the PCH, just because I said hello to the cops and said thank you for your service. And that was amazing to me. And I said, you know what, as a human being, I can accept this. Thank you. And it made me feel like LA is my home now, because I felt so uncomfortable here. But now having that happen and that experience, I was like, okay, you've restored my faith in humanity. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's, Papa Joe, honestly, that's a touching and an incredible story. It really is. I think that is a testament and shows who you are and who you have become for that to have happened.
It was an amazing experience. I mean, I know I brought it up to you earlier, and I was going to share it with you before we ended, but that experience to me just really kind of solidified everything that I've gone through, and the appreciation was kind of given back to me in a way that I could never have imagined. And I went home and cried. I cried because, again, many years ago, I had a 9mm from a cop down my throat when I could have been dead. And here I am now being escorted by 20 police officers down the PCH, where all the rich people live, escorted like, who is this coming through? And we are driving like 5 miles an hour down the PCH in the middle lane, just light, siren, everything. And I'm just like, you got to be kidding me. And I'm like, if I film this, I'm going to get a ticket. I couldn't film it. I'm like, why don't I have a car mount? But I went out and bought one the next morning, so I'm good. But yeah, I just wanted to share that story with you. And, just thank you. Anybody that's going through any problems right now, just know that there is a light at the end of the tunnel. You just got to stay focused on it and